In night, when colors all to black are cast, distinction lost, or gone down with the light, the eye a watch to inward senses placed, not seeing, yet still having powers of sight, gives vain alarums to the inward sense, where fear stirred up with witty tyranny confounds all powers and thorough self-offence, doth forge and raise impossibility, such as in thick depriving darknesses proper reflections of the error be, and images of self-confusednesses which hurt imaginations only see, and from this nothing seen tells news of devils, which but expressions be of inward evils. That was Sonnet 100 by Lord Brooke Fulk Greville. I'm probably not pronouncing that properly. It's from a book of his, which I will also not pronounce properly, called Caelica. And like many of the other people here, I will say again, don't know much about him, but he was a statesman, and he was a member of the House of, I think it was Commons, the House of Commons. And he was known to, he was granted Warwick Castle. One of the things that I found interesting about him is that a lot of his works were said by one critic to be way too intellectual. There was a guy named Charles Lamb who called him 9 parts Machiavel and Tacitus for one of Sophocles and Seneca. Whether we look into his plays or his most passionate love poems, we shall find all frozen and made rigid with intellect. And, you know, I can definitely understand that kind of problem. It's a problem that I have with a lot of the literature that comes from the United States from, like, the 1930s to the 1970s or so. There's so much attempted intellectualism that it kind of freezes everything else in some of it. But even in those eras, there's still some deep emotion behind a lot of it, and I kind of think that's the case for this. Whether it's emotional or not, though, the idea that sometimes what we fear the most is what we imagine, and it being something we imagine, not making it as not really diminishing how bad it can be for us, is a powerful thought. Now, don't really have much more to say on this, so I will continue with my Fortnight of Fright tomorrow. Bye, everyone.